Hi, guys. I think I'm live. I'll just keep talking because I can't see anything else that I'm doing. I don't even know how to look at comments, so I guess I'll just have to do comments later. Maybe some of you can help me. I'm using Restream. But I can't see the chat. So we'll just go with it, okay? Because this is my first time using this. And like I said, I'll just keep talking. So I have something interesting to start off, and I'll preface it with saying, gosh, once you go down a rabbit hole, it will constantly be going deeper. Like, I love Alice in Wonderland, and she goes down the rabbit hole. That's where that term comes from. But things just get stranger and stranger in the books, I should say. And she loses herself in it, and she kind of becomes whatever she is in the rabbit hole. And I feel like the spiritual battle is like that. So it's strange because you can't lose yourself in everything you hear. So I say all that because Isaiah 9 and 10 is what we're in, and it's super interesting. And I've been watching some other YouTubers about the theory of the biblical lands being in the Americas. I'm also keeping on the back burner that they are in Europe. I've seen videos about that too. So sometimes I go back and forth. I just think for sure, without a doubt, the Americas has a lot of hidden history. Obviously, we just see it in geography. I say it all the time. So that's that. And the other theory that's out there, and I guess it does go hand in hand with the biblical lands being in the Americas, is who are the 10 lost tribes? Meaning we know their names, we don't know who specifically they were. So I'm sure most of you, or some of you at least, have heard about Blacks and Native Americans of the Americas are the true Hebrews. I believe that could be a very strong possibility. I don't go so far to say, as some do, that those with light skin are, and I'll give you a theory I just heard, but the light-skinned are hybrids, that our ancestry, I'm just speaking for myself, came from evil, manipulating DNA and things. So I'm not going to go there. But I do truly believe, I do believe that the Hebrews most likely were what we would say would be Blacks and indigenous tribes. I guess I could say it that way. So I'll leave that there. I was going to share a good teaching about what tribes were where, or at least a channel on YouTube, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to sway anybody away from just learning the Bible, because like I said, you can go down deep in a rabbit hole and then it starts kind of messing with your thinking. I believe, like I said, if the Hebrews are the indigenous peoples and those with darker skin, those with lighter skin are still able, by Yah's grace, to be grafted in through Yeshua. So let's get started. I hope this doesn't go too long, But I did want to hit a couple key points, and I know you can see it on the screen. I found this website just now. I found the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs on another website, but if you just type in the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs, you can find it yourself. So I want to read, first I'll do Isaiah, and then we'll take a moment and look at the tribes in chapter 9 that are mentioned in the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs. They kind of go hand in hand, and if nothing else, it gives us really good background. I know people that believe the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs are canon that were taken out, and I believe some were not canonical. I don't think the ones we're going to read are at all heretical. I feel like I'm saying the same thing. I'm sounding funny, but it makes sense what these testaments say. So anyway, without further ado, I wish I could show my face. I thought it was going to show my face, and it's not. So I'll have to figure this out. Sorry about that. Bear with me. But I do have the testaments up, the 12 tribes. And I actually could get Bible Gateway up here for you, since I'm able to share my screen, but not face. Anyway, if I could even spell. We don't want to spell, we want to break the spells. Okay. So I will stay true to my word with the NASB, and I will change the name from Lord or God, as I've referenced before. Okay. So this is our famous passage about Yeshua, and I'm going to stop right at verse 1 to talk about stuff. So here we go. Chapter 9. But there will be no more gloom for her who was in anguish. In early times he treated the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali with contempt. But later on he shall make it glorious. By the way of the sea, on the other side of Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. So here we have two groups mentioned right away, and that's why we got to go to the Testaments to see their background. And then we have Gentiles, which are the other nations, which are the light-skinned and others. So what I wrote in my Bible, just handwritten, I don't know if Zebulun is connected to the Phoenicians, but they could be. So Zebulun was Leah and Jacob's son. And I don't know if you remember, Leah was the initial love of Jacob's life. He wanted to marry Leah. I'm sorry, he didn't want to marry Leah. I'm getting it all mixed up for you. He didn't want to marry Leah. He loved Rachel, her sister. Leah was older, Rachel was younger. So Leah had children first, according to the Bible. She was blessed with children, and Rachel was barren. And Leah took that as a sign from Yah that he had seen her despite her circumstance of not being loved first by Jacob. So Zebulun is her son. And then Naphtali, I believe, I just looked it up, is the son of Bilhah, which was the handmaid of Rachel. It might even be in here. Okay. Oh, it does. It even gives that. Okay, so let's read Zebulun, the Testament of Zebulun, and the Testament of Naphtali. I did find a good teaching on Naphtali. Some believe that nation are the Southern Seas peoples, Easter Island, Hawaii. So we'll get there in a second. So let's read Zebulun first. Now, I'm not going to read all of these. I think I just want to read the first couple chapters. Look at it, even has it in Hebrew. Fancy. Okay. I can't read Hebrew. Can you? Some of you can, I know. All right, let's read it. The copy of the words of Zebulun, which he enjoined on his sons before he died in the 114th year of his life, 2 years after the death of Joseph. And he said to them, Hearken to me, ye sons of Zebulun, attend to the words of your father. I, Zebulun, was born a good gift to my parents, for when I was born, my father was increased very exceedingly, both in flocks and herds, when with straked rods he had his portion. I am not conscious that I have sinned all my days, save in thought. So he didn't act out in sin. That's interesting. Nor yet do I remember that I have done any iniquity except the sin of ignorance, which I committed against Joseph. For I covenanted with my brethren not to tell my father what had been done. He is referring back to when they threw Joseph in the pit and lied to their father, saying Joseph was dead because they were jealous, because Joseph was an ass. Joseph was proud. But I wept in secret many days on account of Joseph, for I feared my brethren, because they had all agreed that if anyone should declare the secret, he should be slain. But when they wished to kill him, I adjured them much with tears not to be guilty of this sin. For Simeon and Gad came against Joseph to kill him, and he said unto them with tears, Pity me, my brethren, have mercy upon the bowels of Jacob our father. Lay not upon me your hands to shed innocent blood, for I have not sinned against you. And if indeed I have sinned, with chastening chastise me, my brethren, but lay not upon me your hand for the sake of Jacob our father. I'm going to skip down to 5. And I wept with Joseph, and my heart sounded, and the joints of my body trembled, and I was not able to stand. Okay, so we're going to go through this because he's just talking about that moment with Joseph. We're going to skip that too. Sorry, this is a little more in depth than I initially read. So he's just retelling how they probably came to Egypt. So that story's in Genesis. Okay. I, now my children, bid you to keep the commands of Yahuwah, and to show mercy to your neighbors, and to have compassion towards all, not towards men only, but also towards beasts. So this is his command to his children, his last words to his children. For all this thing's sake, Yahuwah blessed me, and when all my brethren were sick, I escaped without sickness, for Yahuwah knoweth the purposes of each. Have therefore compassion in your hearts, my children, because even as a man doeth to his neighbor, even so also will Yahuwah do to him. For the sons of my brethren were sickening and dying on account of Joseph, because they showed not mercy in their hearts. But my sons were preserved without sickness, as you know. And when I was in the land of Canaan by the sea coast, I made a catch of fish for Jacob my father. And when many were choked in the sea, I continued unhurt. I was the first to make a boat to sail upon the sea, for Yahuwah gave me understanding and wisdom therein. So we know some of the fallen angels had given wisdom, and of course Yahuwah, the true Most High, gives wisdom to do what he purposes and what for us in our lives. And I let down a rudder behind it, and I stretched a sail upon it, another upright piece of wood in the midst. And I sailed therein along the shores, catching fish for the house of my father, until we came to Egypt. And through compassion I shared my catch with every stranger. So there's his reference to being a fisherman, a sailor. I'm going to keep going. Okay, I'm going to go down here. Do you therefore, my children, from that which Yah bestoweth upon you, show compassion and mercy without hesitation to all men, and to give every man with a good heart. So he's saying the same thing as he said below, pretty much do unto others as you would have them do to you. And if you have not the wherewithal to give him that he needeth, have compassion for him in bowels of mercy. So that is his legacy. He wanted to leave compassion and mercy on others. I'm going to skip down. I'm sorry for the scrolling. If that makes you dizzy, sometimes it makes me dizzy. Okay, let's go to chapter 9. Observe therefore the waters, and know when they flow together. They sweep along stones, trees, earth, and other things. But if they are divided into many streams, the earth swalloweth them up, and they vanish away. So shall ye be divided. So here's a prophecy to his kinfolk. Be not ye therefore divided into two heads, for everything that which Yah made has but one head, 2 shoulders, 2 hands, 2 feet, and all remaining members. For I have learned in the writings of my father that you shall be divided in Israel, and you shall follow 2 kings, and shall work every abomination. So he's saying, do unto others as you would have done to yourselves. And he says, but I know you will do wrong and go against the Most High. Your enemies shall lead you captive, and you shall be evil. You shall be evil entreated among the Gentiles with many infirmities and tribulations. After these things you shall remember Yahuwah and repent, and he shall cause you to return, for he is merciful and compassionate. The 2 things that he wanted them to be. And he setteth not down in account evil to the sons of men, because they are flesh, and the spirits of deceit deceive them in all their deeds. Read a little bit more, and I think we'll go on. If you want to read these in full, go ahead. I'm just doing some highlights of who these people were and a little bit of a background to who the descendants would be now, or in our not so distant past, that we can look in art and in history ourselves. From what they give us, we can take these little nuggets and put the pieces together. And after these things there shall arise unto you Yahuwah himself, the light of righteousness, and healing and compassion shall be in his wings. He shall redeem all the captivity of the sons of men from Belar. I believe Belar is Baal. And every spirit of deceit shall be trodden away. Nonetheless, it's even an idol. He shall bring back all the Gentiles into zeal for him, and you shall return unto your land, and you shall see him in Jerusalem for his name's sake. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to read through this, and then I will read about Naphtali. But it's really interesting to me. You know, we skip over, and this is like an introductory verse, and yet there's so much I had to stop and look up about Zebulun and Naphtali. Sorry, I'm going to say that a million different ways as I talk. There's so much else in there that if you don't know the background of this, we don't know what this is all about. So I don't have all the answers. I'm just giving you the pieces as I find them. So like I said, Naphtali are probably, the descendants are in the South Seas now, Hawaii. I just got that from a video I referenced. But just to keep in the mindset of who their descendants are. And I believe the man that was teaching about Naphtali was saying that they were spread abroad out to those areas that they are now. The same with Zebulun, just like Zebulun himself had prophesied. So like it said, by the way of the sea, it attested to that. Okay, and then he actually said, similar to what Isaiah says in his prophecy, the people who walk in darkness will see a great light. Those who live in a dark land, the light will shine on them. You shall multiply the nation. You shall increase their gladness. They will be glad in your presence, as with the gladness of harvest, as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For you shall break the yoke of their burden and the staff on their shoulders. The rod of their oppressor is at the battle of Midian, which I'm not going to go into, but maybe someday we'll have to look back at that. For every boot of the booted warrior in the battle tumult, and a cloak rolled in blood will be burning fuel for the fire. For a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and the government will rest on his shoulders. This is a dual prophecy about the Messiah and the fulfillment in this Isaiah's time also. His name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty Yah, or Mighty El, Elohim, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. Now, just personally, I'm looking into the Trinity a little bit more when I can, not a deep delve or anything, but suspicions have arisen about the Trinity for me, and just how not of Yah's existence and the Holy Spirit's existence and Messiah's existence, Yeshua's existence. It's that how it's presented to us is a question in my mind. I really think whatever the Catholic Church proposes has to be questioned. And it's always interesting. It was interesting to me also when I was in the church, when I was younger, that a lot of what the Catholic Church and what the Christian Church believe are the same. And that kind of worries me. For as much emphasis as is put on in the Catholic Church of the Trinity, should we as believers do the same? So that's why I highlighted Eternal Father. Yeshua is not the Eternal Father. Yahuwah, the Most High, is the Eternal Father. All of these other names. This is, to me, the Holy Spirit. That's how Yeshua had mentioned him, that he would come. And then this is referring to Yeshua constantly. So just a little side note on my thoughts on that. All right, verse 7, there will be no end to the increase of his government or of peace on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and righteousness from then on and forevermore. The zeal of Yahuwah Sabaoth will accomplish this. I never realized until now how much, excuse me. All right, Bible Gateway, don't get fancy on me. It went all over the place. One moment. That I noticed how much Yahuwah Sabaoth is used in Isaiah. Lots of war type references. Okay. So now we're in verse 8. We're going super slow. God's anger with Israel's ignorance. All right. So word up. A message from Yahuwah. Yahuwah sends a message against Jacob, and it falls on Israel. And all the people know it. All the people know it. Makes me think of the timeline. All the people know it. Asserting in pride and in arrogance of heart, the bricks have fallen down, but we rebuild with smooth stones. The sycamores have been cut down, but we will replace them with cedars. Therefore, the Yahuwah raises against them adversaries from Rezin and spurs their enemies on. The Arameans on the east and the Philistines on the west, and they devour Israel with gaping jaws. That means wide open mouths. In spite of all this, his anger does not turn away, and his hand is still stretched out. He is not pulled back. Yahuwah Sabaoth has not stopped. Judgment. This right here is an interesting saying. I was thinking about also the Philistines in the west, Arameans in the east. I believe in Jewish writings, Hebraic writings, it's different as we think of East and West, all right? So I'm not going to get into that, or else this would be a super long, super detailed study, and I wish I could do that for you and with you, but I just can't. But anyways, keep in mind these Easts and Wests, we think of East, and I'm thinking because I'm in the US, we think of East as the Middle East and Asia, and the West as Europe and into Russia, and then you have Eastern Europe and Western Europe and all that stuff. It's not that way in Hebrew texts, I don't believe. Okay, let me check my notes. Yeah. Okay, Samaria, we're going to get there. Remember, Samaria is mixed, Gentiles marrying Hebrews, vice versa. Ephraim is Joseph's son's lineage. Okay, we'll keep going. Verse 13. Yet the people do not turn back to him who struck them, nor do they seek Yahuwah Sabaoth. So that term comes to mind, or that old hymn, who is on the Lord's side, kind of like that. So Yahuwah cuts off head and tail from Israel, both palm branch and bulrush, in a single day. The head is the elder and honorable man. Seems like someone specific. The prophet who teaches falsehood is the tail. For those who guide this people are leading them astray. So it seems like you have, the elder and the prophet. So a leader among people, and then the prophet working with him. Those who guide this people are leading them astray, and those who are guided by them are brought to confusion. Still true today. Swallowed up. You lose yourself. Therefore, Yahuwah does not take pleasure in their young men, nor does he have pity on their orphans or their widows. For every one of them is godless and an evildoer, and every mouth is speaking foolishness. In spite of all this, his anger does not turn away, and his hand is still stretched out. Still stretched out, still going on. Wickedness burns like a fire. It consumes briars and thorns. So it's to me that's saying, as the other scripture we read last week was talking about desolation, now it's even burning up the desolation. It even sets the thickets of the forest aflame, and they roll upward in a column of smoke. By the fury of Yahuwah Sabaoth, the land is burned up. Completely nothing left. People are like fuel for the fire. No man spares his brother. They slice off what is on the right hand, but still are hungry, and they eat what is on the left, but they are not satisfied. Each of them eats the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh devours Ephraim, and Ephraim Manasseh. Manasseh and Ephraim are brothers from Joseph, and together they are against Judah, which is the firstborn of Jacob. So Joseph's sons' lineage, generations, are after their uncles' generations, to put it simply. In spite of all this, his anger does not turn away, and his hand is still stretched out. Okay, now we're going to go to chapter 10. And I didn't read Naphtali yet, which he did have some interesting things. So let's go back. I'm sorry for the scrolling again. Look away, look away. Okay, Naphtali. I think I'm just going to do chapter 2. No, I'll do 1. That's what I read earlier, and that's what I prepared. Okay, let's go back to the testaments of the 12 patriarchs. The copy of the testament of Naphtali, which he ordained at the time of his death in the 130th year of his life. Now, I will say this. I did find a crest, and I don't have it with me on this computer. I can post the link later. It did have an interesting crest of Naphtali. So he mentions himself as being swift like a deer, and that is his symbol that has been shown throughout history. And then there were some different crests showing some European nations with that same symbol. Just a side note. Okay. When his sons were gathered together in the 7th month on the 1st day of the month, while still in good health, he made them a feast of food and wine. And after he was awake in the morning, he said to them, I am dying, and they believed him not. And as he glorified Yahweh, he grew strong and said that after yesterday's feast, he should die. He began to then say, Hear, my children, ye sons of Naphtali, hear the words of your father. I was born from Bilhah, and because Rachel dealt craftily and gave Bilhah in place of herself to Jacob, she conceived and bare me upon Rachel's knees. Therefore she called me Naphtali. And I might get this mixed up, but Bilhah is not so distant of a relative of Rachel, actually, and I never knew that. I just can't remember what at the moment. I'm sorry. Okay, for Rachel loved me very much because I was born upon her lap. And when I was still young, she was wont to kiss me and say, May I have a brother of thine from mine own womb, like unto thee. Whence also Joseph was like unto me in all things, according to the prayers of Rachel. Now my mother was Bilhah, daughter of Ruthius. Oh, here we go. I guess it tells us right here. That must have been where I got it. The brother of Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, who was born on one and the selfsame day with Rachel. So Bilhah and Rachel were close like sisters because I'm believing this is Rebekah's nurse, Isaac's wife. So Bilhah and Rachel were the same age. But we all know they married each other's cousins and things like that. So they're related somehow. We're not going to go into that either. And Rothius was of the family of Abraham, a Chaldean, Yah-fearing, freeborn, and noble. And he was taken captive and was bought by Laban. Laban is Rachel and Leah's father. He gave him Una, his handmaid, to wife, and she bore a daughter and called her name Zilpah, after the name of the village in which she had been taken captive. Zilpah is Leah's handmaid. And next she bore Bilhah, saying, My daughter hastens after what is new, for immediately that she was born, she seized the breast and hastened to suck it. Chapter 2. And I was swift on my feet like the deer, and my father Jacob appointed me for all the messages. As a deer did he give me his blessing. For as the potter knoweth the vessel, how much is it to contain, and bringeth clay accordingly, so also doth Yahuwah make the body after the likeness of the spirit, and according to the capacity of the body doth he implant the spirit. I thought that was a really interesting description of how we are created. So according to the capacity of our body, he implants the spirit, and I think we can see that because I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's interesting. We know the spirit, our soul, what makes us truly us is so much stronger than actually what our body is. But that's what keeps us going. The implanting of that spirit gives our physical body capacity, if you know what I'm saying. It's really interesting and really beautiful, actually. Okay, I'm on 3. And the one who does not fall short of the other by a third part of a hair, for by weight, measure, and rule was all creation made. And as the potter knoweth the use of each vessel, what it is meet for, so also doth Yahuwah know the body, how far it will persist in goodness, and when it beginneth in evil. For there is no inclination or thought which Yahuwah knoweth not, for he created every man after his own image. As a man's strength, so also is his work, and as his mind, so also is his skill, and his purpose, so also is his achievement. Cause and effect, cause and effect. And as his heart, so also his mouth, his eye, also his sleep, his soul, also his word, either in the law of Yahuwah or in the works of Belar. Maybe a root of Beelzebub, I'm not sure. And as there is a division between light and darkness, between seeing and hearing, so also is there a division between man and man, and between woman and woman. And it is not to be said that the one is like the other, either in face or in mind. For Yah made all things good in their order, the 5 senses in the head, and he joined on the neck to the head, added to it the hair also for comeliness and glory, the heart for understanding, the belly for excrement, and stomach for grinding, windpipe for taking in breath, the liver for wrath, gall for bitterness, the spleen for laughter, the reins for prudence, the muscles of the loins for power, and the lungs for drawing in, the loins for strength, and so forth. This is really interesting too, and I'm sure some of you can attest to whatever you feel affects certain parts of your body more so. I know that to be true. So then, my children, let all your works be done in order with good intent in the fear of Yah. And this was, I found when I was looking into Naphtali, his command to his descendants. So as Zebulun said, do unto others as you would have them do to you. That was his command. Naphtali's command is to fear Yahuwah all their days. Do nothing disorderly in scorn or out of its due season. For if thou bid the eye to hear, it cannot. So neither while ye are in darkness can you do the works of light. Now, Naphtali did have an interesting prophecy also. I want to get down to that. Okay. So I think we'll start here because I'm not going to say it, but you can read it. You shall not be so, my children, recognizing in the firmament, in the earth and in the sea and in all created things, Yahuwah who made all things, that you become not as Sodom, which changed the order of nature. In like manner, the watchers, the fallen angels, also changed the order of their nature, whom Yah cursed at the flood, and whose account he made the earth without inhabitants and fruitless. Just a little apocryphal truth there for you. Okay. So here's his prophecy. These things I say unto you, my children, for I have read in the writing of Enoch, that you yourselves shall depart from Yahuwah, walking according to the lawlessness of Gentiles. And you shall do according to all the wickedness of Sodom. And Yahuwah shall bring captivity upon you, and there shall you serve your enemies, and you shall be bowed down with every affliction and tribulation unto Yahuwah have consumed you all. Until. And after you have become diminished and made few, you shall return and acknowledge Yahuwah your El, and he shall bring you back into your land according to his abundant mercy. It shall be that after they come into the land of their fathers, they shall again forget Yahuwah and become ungodly. Yahuwah shall scatter them upon the face of the earth until the compassion of Yah shall come, a man working righteousness and working mercy unto all them that are afar off and to them that are near. Okay, here's his vision that I wanted to share. For in the 40th year of my life, I saw a vision on the Mount of Olives, on the east of Jerusalem, that the sun and the moon were standing still. And behold, Isaac, the father of my father, and he said to us, run and lay hold of them, each one according to his strength, and to him that seizeth them with the sun and moon belong. And we all of us ran together. Levi laid hold of the sun. Judah outstripped the others and seized the moon. They were both of them lifted up with them. Levi became as a son. Lo, a certain young man gave to him 12 branches of palm, and Judah was bright as the moon, and under their feet were 12 rays. And the two, Levi and Judah, ran and laid hold of them. And a bull upon the earth, with 2 great horns and eagle's wings upon his back, and we wished to seize him, but could not. Every time you see horns, I don't know, who do you think of? Joseph came and seized him and ascended up with him on high. And I saw For I was there, and behold, a holy writing appeared to us, saying, Assyrians, Medes, Persians, Chaldeans, Syrians shall possess in captivity the 12 tribes of Israel. So there's my reference to indigenous peoples and all they've been through according to Scripture. And if you put it in that light of these testaments of what has happened, we've been told the Jews of Hitler's time were the ones that he was wanting to destroy, but who has always been in the limelight of the center of hatred and, dare I say, racism. I'm not going to go into that, but you know where I'm going with that. Okay, let's keep reading for Naphtali, and then we'll finish up chapter 10. And again, after 7 days, I saw our father Jacob standing by the sea of Jamnia. And I do not know where that is. I wish I did. I'll have to look that up also. I'm going to make notes. We're going to have to look up the day of the Midians and Jamnia. I bet it's not called that anymore. And behold, there came a ship sailing by without sailors or pilot, and there was written upon the ship of Jacob. And our father said to us, Come, let us embark on our ship. Now keep a mental picture of not these little wooden rowboats that, the flannel graph showed us in Sunday school when we were 4. I was 4 when I saw those things. I'm thinking of ships in pre-medieval times, but they had these amazing vessels. So I believe that's what he's seeing in the vision, because that's what they had. Okay. And when he had gone on board, there arose a vehement storm and a mighty tempest of wind, and our father, who was holding the helm, departed from us. And we, being tossed with the tempest, were borne along over the sea, and the ship was filled with water and was pounded by mighty waves until it was broken up. Joseph fled away upon a little boat, and we were all divided upon 9 planks. Levi and Judah were together. So this is the priestly line, and this is the line of the Messiah. And we are all scattered unto the ends of the earth. Levi, girt about with sackcloth, prayed for us all unto Yahuwah. And when the storm ceased, the ship reached the land as it were in peace. And our father came, and we all rejoiced with one accord. These 2 dreams I told to my father, and he said to me, These things must be fulfilled in their season. After that, Israel has endured many things. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So Joseph claimed to have the best visions, and he had true ones, but he took them and went, above his brothers. And then these were told close to the same time as when Joseph was led away to Egypt, sold. And then his brothers also had prophetic visions. Okay. So let's finish up chapter 10. Okay. Yep, this is where I want to go. All right, here we go. Woe to those who enact evil statutes, and to those who constantly record unjust decisions so as to deprive the needy of justice. Remember also, Isaiah is full of justice references. And rob the poor of my people of their rights, so that the widows may be their spoil, and that they may plunder the orphans. Now what will you do in the day of punishment, and in the devastation which shall come from afar? To whom you will flee for help, and where will you leave your wealth? Nothing remains but to crouch among the captives, or fall among the slain. In spite of all this, his anger does not turn away, and his hand is still stretched out. Woe to Assyria, the rod of my anger, and the staff in whose hands is my indignation. I sent it against a godless nation and commissioned it against the people of my fury, to recapture booty and to seize plunder. Those pirate terms, huh? And to trample them down like mud in the streets. It's interesting wording also. Just saying. Yet it does not so intend, nor does it plan so in its heart, but rather it is its purpose to destroy and to cut off many nations. For it says, are not my princes all kings? Is not Kelno like Carchemish, or Hamath like Arpad, or Samaria like Damascus? Again, we'll have to look up all those places. Interesting. As my hand has reached to the kingdoms of the idols, whose graven images were greater than those of Jerusalem and Samaria, shall I not do to Jerusalem and her images, just as I have done to Samaria and her idols? So it will be that when the Yahuwah has completed all his work on Mount Zion, specific place, not just a figurative place, and on Jerusalem he will say, I will punish the fruit of the arrogant heart of the king of Assyria, the pomp of his haughtiness, for he has said, and I believe this may be Satan, who he's referring to, but I could be wrong. By the power of my hand and by my wisdom I did this, for I have understanding, and I removed the boundaries of the peoples and plundered their treasures. And like a mighty man, I brought down their inhabitants, and my hand reached to the riches of the peoples like a nest. And as one gathers abandoned eggs, I gathered all the earth. And there was not one that flapped its wing and opened its beak or chirped. So, destroyer, that's what Satan is. Is the axe to boast itself over the one who chops with it? Is the saw to exalt itself over the one who wields it? That would be like a club wheeling those who lift it, or a rod lifting him who is not wood. Therefore Yahuwah Sabaoth will send a wasting disease among his stout warriors. And we know this is in history a lot too. I'm not just talking about the 1800s, way before. And under his glory a fire will be kindled like a burning flame, and the light of Israel will become a fire, and his Holy One a flame. And it will burn and devour his thorns and his briars in a single day. What day was that, I wonder? He will destroy the glory of his forest and of his fruitful garden, both soul and body. And it will be as when a sick man wastes away, and the rest of the trees of his forest will be so small in number that a child could write them down. All right, here we are with the remnant will return. Common theme again. Now in that day the remnant of Israel and those of the house of Jacob who have escaped, so remnant of Israel and house of Jacob. Those are two separate groups, aren't they, if I'm not mistaken? Okay, will never again rely on the one who struck them, but will truly rely on Yahuwah, the Holy One of Israel. A remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty Yah, or El. For though your people, O Israel, may be like the sand of the sea, only a remnant within them will return. A destruction is determined, overflowing with righteousness. For a complete destruction, one that is decreed, that Yahuwah Sabaoth will execute in the midst of the whole land. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah Sabaoth, O my people who dwell in Zion, do not fear the Assyrian, who strikes you with the rod and lifts up his staff against you the way Egypt did. For in a very little while my indignation against you will be spent, and my anger will be directed to their destruction. Yahuwah Sabaoth will arouse a scourge against him like the slaughter of Midian at the rock of Oreb. Now, this isn't just some stone or some small boulder. This was significant. So again, we're going to have to look these places up. And his staff will be over the sea, and he will lift it up the way he did in Egypt. The Red Sea is what he's referring to. And remember, with these places, I am tending to read more literally than figuratively, okay? Verse 27, so it will be in that day that his burden will be removed from your shoulders and his yoke from your neck. and the yoke will be broken because of fatness. He has come against Ahath. He has passed through Migron. At Michmash, he has deposited his baggage. They have gone through the pass, saying, Geba will be our lodging place. Ramah is terrified, and Gibeah of Saul has fled away. Cry aloud with your voice, O daughter of Galem. Pay attention, Laisha, and wretched Anthoth. Madmenah has fled. The inhabitants of Gebim have sought refuge. Yet today he will not halt at Nob. So many places to look up, friends. Oh my word, I'm a little overwhelmed. He shakes his fist at the mountain of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Behold, Yahuwah Sabaoth will lop off the bows with a terrible crash. Those who also were tall in stature will be cut down. So more references to giants and giant trees. Those who are lofty will be abased. He will cut down the thickets of the forest with an iron axe, and Lebanon will fall by the mighty one. Now, is this prophecy for us? I don't think so. Lots of interesting things there. I hope this went well. I hope I don't have to do it over. I'm glad you joined me. Blessings.